In this video, I'm at the Hot Rod and Vintage Show here in Kumeu, and oh, I think I'm going to like it. Now, it's very much an American themed show. $69,000 if you would like this beautiful flathead Ford. And notice the clap hand wipers on this right hand drive converted Chevy pickup, and a Lexus badged yeah, it's a Isuzu Rodeo, I think. Gorgeous Holden. This colour is amazing. Pantograph wiper. Oh, professional, getting the shadow in. And that's quite amazing as well. I'm not quite so sure about the music. Some people sound quite merry this morning. Oh, that's the Marshalls. Big Ford pickup, massive Chrysler, Chevrolet Impala, also got the clap handers going on there. Ford Fairlane, a Ford GT351. Those windscreen wipers look terribly small. Here's a much smaller Ford. Okay. And another Ford, and a still left-hand drive Chevy pickup, another Chevy Impala. Again, the clap handers obviously a theme here, because then you only have to move one wiper. Quite clever. Ford Thunderbird, of the not quite so beautiful but still very much in your face era, big 59 Cadillac. Chevrolet El Camino, I'm guessing. Yes. Well, it had to be really, didn't it? It's bloody pickup. This is just one field I'm in at the moment, by the way. It's going to take all day to get around the whole show. Oh, Chevrolet Silverado for sale. Right-hand drive. Done approx 25,000 miles on fully rebuilt motor. 6.5 litre diesel. $22,000. That's £11,000. Chevrolet Corvette, Jeep Wrangler. Ooh, very nice Holden Ute. That's unusual. You don't often see chassis cabs on the Holden platform. The later Fords were chassis cabs. That's very nicely done, I think. Ooh. Chevelle by Chevrolet. That's very nice. Oh, a little Holden Tirana here, GTR. So it's got the big 6-cylinder engine in. Funny enough, I've got a video going live today which will show off a Holden Tirana GTR. Everything for here seems to be for sale. Amazing. Plymouth Barracuda, Citroen Traction Avant. French built by the look of it. That's very pretty. Another chunky Ford GT. And full hip kink styling going on. Fairmont. I know. Pacer. Mark 1 Escort on some very nice wheels. Yeah, it's a nice selection of cars here. There's an Austin 3 litre I'll be riding home in later on up there. Videos to come on that, or may have already come. I don't know which order the videos are going to be in, to be honest. Boss Mustang. Oh, hello. I see a familiar Austin Cambridge back there. Oh, Chris might not appreciate this, because Chris, since I drove the car, has fitted some mini lights to it. And I have to say, I think they suit it. So yeah, this is the one I drove in a video the back end of last year. He's got a bigger engine plan, so bigger wheels. Probably a sensible idea, to be honest. A Ferrari Testarossa here, with its flat 12 engine. That's pretty unusual. Another big Plymouth. Big trucks all round. Oh, VL Commodore SS Group A, so that's got some of the Walkinshaw mods to try and homologate it for saloon racing. That's good times. And Holden Commodore of a slightly later type next to it as well. So yeah, going to be quite a show, I think. Still early doors here. The Plymouth Barracuda there. Yeah, should be fun. Beauty, Chevrolet Camaro. That sounds lovely. Big old Lincoln Continental. The pillarless four-door. It's a bit more peaceful. $30,000 if you fancy a Holden Ute. Just a subtle guess, but I'd say that's probably a 52 Cadillac. It's remarkably like the 55 I drove in a recent video. $40,000 and you could own this ex-Australia Land Rover. Notice some interesting modifications to the cab. Very much set up for carrying personnel. But it's a six-wheeler, and not only is it a six-wheeler, it's got leaf springs. So yeah, the Australians went a bit crazy with their Land Rovers and just completely re-engineered them. That's quite remarkable. And in front of it we've got an enormous Hummer, complete with enormous trailer. And actually it's looking almost dwarfed by that enormous Land Rover. And some motorbikes for those who like motorbikes. Oh, 68 Charger. Oh, if only you could smell the richness. Ford Falcon wagon. I apologise for the sunlight being rather strong, but it's New Zealand. It is quite strong. That looks almost dainty. That's quite sweet. It's before they became utterly enormous later on. Some interesting cars over here. Plymouth Roadrunner. These interestingly shaped rear lights, sculpted into the rear. Next to a Plymouth Duster and a Dodge Super Bee, like what Mr. Freiberger does own. He of roadkill fame, which is maybe why they've got the hood off, sort of. E-bucket there with Chevy V8 power and gorgeous Mercury Caliente. Love how it's got a metallic interior. That's quite lovely. Dodge Coronet. Again, almost dainty by American standards. Yeah, British classic car shows don't really sound like this. Look at that. Big Holden Ute van type affair. And a Lynx. Chevy Camaro 3rd gen. I do like those. I would never go for a convertible though. Get your offers in for this Mark II Escort Estate. Handley has had a wing removed so you can see what work it might need. Just taking in the delights of this Jeep Cherokee Sportsman, including pantograph wiper as part of its conversion to right-hand drive. Very, very lovely. Oh, more lovely blub 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 blubs.
Last chance to sign up for the Teen Beauty Pageant. Registration's at the tower.
The debate about what you should call station wagons continues. This is a country sedan. It's fake rat look, which isn't all that appealing for me, but it is right-hand drive. And nice Thunderbird.
Okay, are you all convoying with me? Are you all convoying? Okay, that's fine.
Big lump of T-bird. Big old Oldsmobile. '98. Lovely. So yesterday was the main day at this show. It's emptied out somewhat today. People are starting to head home. Many have been here for many days. They're in no rush. I imagine it's been lovely in a Mark I Transit camper van. That looks just the thing for the job. There are some very, very silly cars on this stand with some very, very big superchargers going on. That's a Holden with all of the engine. But if we go over here, we've got a pair of V8 Fords, which would not originally have been V8 Fords. We've got a Cortina 80 here, the unofficial Mark V. This one's quite subtle, but then you discover a really great V8 under the bonnet. But the Mark II Escort, less subtle. It's got a huge supercharger, and I can use a phrase I've always wanted to use, which is twin Holly XP double pumpers. Ooh, and set for E85 ethanol, bioethanol. Oh. But the rubber isn't that wide at the back, which means it must be quite hilarious to drive. Holden VL Commodore. Oh, sorry, no, it's the Calais. The Calais is the posh one with flip-up headlamps. Looks even more ridiculous, frankly, than the VL Commodore. I hope I can find some of these to play with in Australia. If you have a VL Commodore or Calais, please do let me know, because they worked really hard. Look at the seats, magnificent, to try and disguise the Opel Origins with little tricks like this over the back window. Different rear lights to what we would see in Europe as well. Quite nice, and a Holden Ute next to it. Got more Commodores and Calais over here. So here is a VL Commodore. So these were the ones that used Nissan engines, although a V8 was optional. Is this a Calais or a Commodore? So these are based on the later Senator B body. That is a Calais. Love the louvered rear window. So again, very clearly start using the European body as a starting point, but creating something that looks magnificently Australian, I think. And this one uses the Omega body shell, which is actually widened as well as slightly lengthened, I think. Won't comment so much on the wheels, not my property. If we go and look at this Calais over here, this has got all the Peter Brock styling mods. So full body kitted, got the V8 engine. That's quite crazy. So this isn't aftermarket, this is how they came from the factory. Look at that enormous rear spoiler. Just hilarious. And this is a Statesman, which is the top of the range Holden. So this is the plushest model, definitely got some extra length in these. Square rig starting at the back, a bit of a fancy grille going on. Very nice. Wagons, I think the wagons look particularly pleasant actually. Over here John's just checking out Wolseley 444, which is for sale. So similar to the MG Magnet but with a little less power, but on the other hand you get the illuminated grille badge. Shade is most welcome. We have here Holdens Tirana with a big V8 Edelbrock headers, or Edelbrock rockers rather. Mazda rotary pickup. These were really a thing. You have to hand it to Mazda, they certainly gave rotary power a go. There's an RX3 next to it, 5-speed gearbox, super deluxe. This Studebaker's worth a look just because it looks like it could have been made, what, 20, 30 years ago? Huge, great V8 engine, bright colour, very much smoothed off, very little in the way of chrome, plush interior. Look at that, amazing. And here's how it began, as something of a wreck. So I would say that's been very nicely done. Well, you're not going to get a full road test experience, but I'm driving the Austin J4 van around a field. We are in second gear. I have no idea where first gear is. I couldn't find it, so I gave up. That is a Ford Cortina that I think appears in my video where I road tested a Fiat Bravo. It came the other way. It seems to have been left over here all on its own. But it goes to show how much bigger the show would have been yesterday. I'm talking too much. Why am I doing wipers? Is it that one? Yes, look at that. That's a huge triangle of disappointment. I like it a lot. So 1622cc 4-cylinder B-Series engine, which is right there next to me. And a very loud exhaust apparently. Quality vehicle. Let's come to a stop and I can do a proper walk around. I think that's neutral. Yes, it is. I'm not bothering with a handbrake, she's not going anywhere. Try and get out through the door. Now the interesting thing about the J4 van is that the rear body went on to become the Sherpa. So the Sherpa became one of these but with a snout, so the body lived on, and I think this must be a New Zealand assembled one. It's 1974 and a random flip-flop here. Interestingly, it seems to have a suicide side door which opens that way. I would expect it to go the other way. So rear mounted hinges, quality exhaust, MG row style alloys. It is a funky thing. Structurally it's probably not too hot. It's kind of just got metalwork held in place by God knows what. It's got some mounting points on the roof, God knows what, but it's certainly an intriguing vehicle to drive. You can see I've got the air conditioning on, the fresh air vents down here. Shall we see if we can actually find first gear? It must be possible. Clang. Yes, I think that's it. That's actually not a bad little van to drive, even if you're aware your knees are the crumple zone. I really need to do a full-blown road test on one of these, but maybe not this example. I think everything would fall off. But nonetheless, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to drive this Austin J4 van. Holden Kingswood with pantograph wiper. Beautiful old Bedford. And that's us done. So I should say thank you for joining me on this little tour. This is my last show, my last full day in New Zealand, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video somewhere else. Farewell.